Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News Today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta justifies a controversial domestic debt exchange policy, adding it has proven useful in spite of earlier apprehension by bondholders. We have more as bondholders lays their boots to protest considerations for a second debt restructuring program.
The domestic debt exchange program was very difficult for us as a country, but I think, the need to do it is being proven. So you can see some stability, and we are grateful for that.
So this afternoon, National Food Suppliers Association spent Tuesday night at the premises of the National Buffer Stock Company to press home their demand for payments of arrears for foodstuffs supplied.
Mosquitoes and the rest, people, because they have come from far, upper east, up all the regions, they have come. And where are they going? They don't have money to rent hotels. So they have to spend the night here, and they are ready to spend.
Plus, 2 killed, 4 others sustained severe fractures following the collapse of health center under construction in the South municipality. And falling rocks from a bridge obstructs traffic flow on the Imensa Road. We have the updates from this morning's latest falling rocks on the stretch. We have business and also bring you patrons of Joy News' Habitats Fair 2023 who are to get free legal advice on housing and land acquisition. All of that plus sports, world news and showbiz coming up shortly. Research lead at GCB Capital Limited, Courage Boti, says it is too early for us as a country to draw conclusions that the DDEP has proven useful. His comment follows the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta's assertion that the government's domestic debt exchange program has proven useful in spite of concerns raised by some investors and bondholders. Speaking on the sidelines of the American Independence Day celebration here in Accra, Ken Ofori-Atta explained that the earlier round of debt restructuring has yielded significant results, adding more sacrifices will be required in the coming days.
We have our own unique situation in terms of the economy. What do you see as the future? You know that Ghanaians have been asking that how is the future looking like for Ghana and Africa as a continent?
Yeah, I think first of all we need to acknowledge that this is just an unprecedented period in global affairs with regards to the economy and all the incidents that we have seen. But be that as it may, July 1st last year was a very different period than July 1st this year, and the media will recognize that it's been quite a dramatic change in where we are. During that period in which we did a double take to go to the fund, we got the SLA in record time, we got the fund approval in record time, we got 3 times our quota, which is unprecedented, 3 billion. We also were able to front load it so that we may get 1.2 billion this year, which is good. And then within 3 days of the approval also, it was disbursed for us. And then inflation has tapered down from 54 to where we are. I think the currency is a little bit more stable. Treasury bill rates have moved from 35 to maybe 20-something%. The domestic debt exchange program was very difficult for us as a country, but I think, the need to do it is being proven. So you can see some stability, and we are grateful for that. There's a lot of work ahead, and really we need to remain faithful as Ghanaians to push ahead. There's going to be some sacrifices, but I think it's the direction to go.
Research lead at the GCB Capital Limited, Courage Boutique, however, says it is too early to draw such conclusions.
If we must achieve the 55% debt to GDP ratio by 2028 in present value terms, and then you would not be too far off to say that we need to do a bit more. Already, we've seen the government trying to come back to market. The 29 or so billion pension holding that was exempted, there's now the effort in place to try to get them into the envelope of GDP. There is about 77 billion held by Bank of Ghana in non-marketable debt, which is also under consideration towards restructuring. We are now in talks with the bilateral creditors. If we succeed with that, then we can extend similar terms or even better to the commercial creditors, that is the external ones. And only then can we ascertain how deep the restructuring is and if there may be a need to, even beyond these other second leg of DDP we are seeing now, even beyond that, there may be a need to even include things like your T-bills or maybe other forms of domestic debt that are not included in the envelope at this point in time. And so from those experiences, it's not a call that is out of place. But again, I think that it is too early to even make such assertions yet because, yes, the initial one may not be deep enough, but we are looking at the external side of things to see how that goes. If it's super successful, probably there might not be need, but all options are open at this point if we are committed to the 55% debt to GDP ratio by 2028.
Meanwhile, a group calling itself the Coalition of Individual Bondholders Group will, in the next 24 hours, join the pensioner group to protest suspected plans by the government to undertake a second round of domestic debt restructuring in line with IMF conditionality. We'll be joined by legal practitioner Martin Kwebu, who is convener for the Individual Bondholders Association, and he'll be telling us more about this protest. As we wait for him to join, let's talk about members of the National Food Suppliers Association who are demanding payments of over 270 million cedis owed them from food supplied to senior high schools across the country from 2021 to 2023. The members who have been picketing the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock say they will not leave the premises until their monies are paid. There's more in this report.
You say every time the food is supplied, within 60 days, we will be paid.
Right, it's left here. We've not heard anything from the buffer stock people.
No, buffer stock crowd. They don't even care. They don't care at all. No.
The group first served notice of their intention to picket the premises of the National Buffer Stock Company on the 13th of June over their unpaid monies. But interventions by the government with a promise of settling them stopped the group from doing so. However, members of the group Tuesday besieged the National Buffer Stock Company, bent on not leaving until their monies are paid them. Kwame Amedume is the spokesperson of the group.
The government is owing us money for the supplies we've done since 2021 till date. Running into millions of cities, 270 million. We've done everything possible to get our monies paid to us, which has not yielded any positive results. We had intentions of picketing here on the 13th of last month. There were some interventions which we saw that it was necessary for us to call off the picketing with the hope that they were going to get us paid before today. Unfortunately, after those interventions were made, that stopped us from picketing here on the 13th of last month. We have not heard anything from the government. Nobody has called us to tell us where and how our money is going to get paid. The 2 weeks we were promised that our money was going to get ready. The 2 weeks is gone, and we've not heard anything from government. It's a serious issue that we are putting before government. Because most of our members rely on loans to do the supply. Most of these people that we see here, gathered here this morning, depend on some little credibility to do business. That credibility is dwindling. They can no longer continue with the supply because some have even used their properties as collateral to secure the money. That collateral is in the verge of being taken over by the credit. That's why we are picketing. We are not picketing only for today. We are going to be here till tomorrow next, if our money is not paid. We want to be here, we want to live here.
The group is also demanding a review of the free SHS policy as they describe the current state of the implementation as a failure.
The continuance of the free SHS depends on we being able to supply on time. You see, the success of it doesn't depend on the student alone. The success of the policy of free SHS also depends on prompt payment to we, the suppliers. Because if they fail to pay us on time, how do we continue to supply? Those foodstuffs we supply, we take them on credit, on the promises that we're going to get paid in 60 days as per the contract stipulated in our signing, in our contract between the buffer stock and the various companies here put together as a National Food Suppliers Association. We are really struggling. 2 of our members are dead, Mr. and Mrs., as a result of the emotional trauma that this membership go through. Surprisingly, and the buffer stock and the Ministry of Education doesn't seem to be sensitive to our plight. So after 2 years, those monies are still locked up with government. What is the government doing? If for 2 years we have not been able to get our monies for the supplies we have done, it means the free SHS is not a success story. They have to tend to look at us. We are not here to frustrate the process of the implementation of the free SHS policy. What we are here to do is to ask for the supplies we have done for government. Pay us so we can continue to work with the program.
One of the members who spoke to JoyNews said life has not been easy for her and her family.
They owe me millions of Ghana cedis. Millions of Ghana cedis.
Well, the food suppliers spends the night at the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock. Here's Patrick Ifa, General Secretary to the group, sharing his experience.
You say every time the food is supplied, within 60 days, we will be paid.
Right, you slept here. You've not heard anything from the buffer stock people?
No, buffer stock crowd, they don't even care. They don't care at all. No. Nothing.
How did you cope here, sleeping here?
Yes, mosquitoes and the rest. People, because they have come from far, upper east, upper west, all the regions, they have come. And where are they going? They don't have money to rent hotels. So they have to spend the night here, and they are ready to spend.
All right.
Yes. So until we are paid, that's why we continue to be here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you too.
All efforts to reach the buffer stock company for reactions have failed. To other stories, motorists using the 5.9-kilometer long road between Aimensa and Pejuase would have to tread cautiously because some part of the Bree Mountains rocks have fallen onto the road, causing obstruction to traffic. The incident noticed by motorists in the early hours of Wednesday has become a major concern to road users. My colleague Carlos Caloni is currently at the scene and he joins us with more. Carlos, what can you report from where you are now?
All right, Aisha, I can actually see a substantial amount of stones, including sand, which have been washed onto the road. Now, this particular place is in a curve, and so drivers descending from the top of the hill who are actually using the outer lane, they are being forced to veer onto the inner lane because of the stones and the sand which have been blocking that portion of the road. And don't forget the drain on that side is also choked. And so rush water from uphill is all over the road and then making it difficult for motorists to actually drive. So they are forced to slow down when they get to that particular portion of the road.
Have you seen officials of the Ghana Highway Authority?
No official actually have been seen here. We've been making some calls to the Ghana Highways Authority who have been telling us this morning they were at the spot. They've looked at the situation and in due course they'll be updating the media on the steps that they'll be taking to actually cure the challenge.
Carlos Caloni there updating us on some disturbance on the Pejuase and Aimensa road where parts of the mountain have fallen onto the road, impeding movement of vehicles. Now, 2 people have died and 4 others have sustained severe fractures after a health center under construction collapsed on them. Eyewitness accounts say a woman and her 2 children and some other individuals were standing under the building when it suddenly came crashing down on them at Assemblies, a suburb of the South municipality in Accra. Personnel from the Municipal Fire Command in Kaswa came to rescue the trapped victims under the rubble. One of them spoke with our news team.
We were able to rescue all of them. Initially, we rescued 4. We have been sent to hospital. Finally, we had to seek the help of an excavator to be able to clear the debris, to be able to rescue the final person, who is an elderly woman. She has been sent to the hospital, but at this moment, looking at her, we can't confirm whether she's alive or not, but she's in a critical condition. We pray that she makes it. So probably the doctors at the hospital will be able to tell us her situation in due course. Yes.
What do you think might be the cause of this preliminary?
At this moment, we cannot pinpoint exactly what would have brought this, but in recent times, I think it has been raining. If you look at the nature of the soil that we stand on, even you could see that the place looks a bit like a muddy area, water area. So, but we cannot pinpoint and say that that would have been the cause, that the ground maybe it's not good. That is why the building might have caved in or not. Until further investigation is done, to be able to tell, we cannot confirm what exactly would have caused this.
Is it a case where they use inferior materials? Because I've gone closer to the materials, you realize that the blocks themselves are not strong.
They may look like that. All of us can see it. So you use your hand to tap the blocks and they are like scattering all over. But that also cannot be a justification to pinpoint that the inferior materials have been used. Like the way I said, we have to do further investigation and probing to confirm whether really who is even constructing the building. Is the person a qualified engineer who is inspecting or whatever it is? They've gone through the right process to put up the building. All those things would have to come in to confirm that whether a shoddy work is being done or the right thing is being done. Yes.
But going forward, what would you want to tell residents?
To be frank, we find ourselves in a rainy season, and obviously my advice is that Kaswa as a whole, we have quite a lot of waterlogged areas. People will have to be careful when it is raining, their movement. When it comes to building, there is a laid down rules or procedure that you should go through to be able to put up a building. Obviously, you need a permit, your fire engineering drawing, architecture drawing, and all those things. So when the committee sees, they will look into all these things and be able to approve to you. But as usual, most people would like to pass through the shortcuts and do all these things. And we tend to see all these things happening, and it's becoming too frequent where we have buildings collapsing. And I believe it's just because we are.
Well, according to Adom News reporter Kofi Eje, the accident scene has since been cordoned off. A year after construction of the Thewa Regional Hospital in the Ashanti region, residents remain uncertain about the facility and when it will be put to use. JoyNews' checks reveal poor access roads to the hospital and the installation of a power source have been cited as reasons for the delay, putting the hospital into operations, indicating even though the advisor to the President on Health has indicated that the road has been awarded to a contractor. Nana Ojima has more.
The 250-bed capacity Sewa Hospital is one of 8 hospital projects costing $339 million constructed by Eurojet The Invest. By capacity, it is the 3rd biggest health facility in the region and expected to ease pressure on the Komfo Anoche Teaching Hospital when fully operational. The Afari Military Hospital, with a 500-bed capacity, will be second largest facility when completed. Physical works on Sewa Hospital have been completed, awaiting provision of power supply and improved access road network. Health Minister Kweku Ajiman Menu, during a visit to the facility, noted the challenges with power and road have delayed the opening of the facility.
We are waiting for a few things. We call them client obligations. The client should bring road to access the facility. The inside the hospital road is part of the contract. But from Sewa town or from the major road to this place is supposed to be done by government. Here is virtually completed. All the equipments are in place. They are not bringing any new thing. They're only waiting for constant, continuous power such that we can run the machines after commissioning testing.
Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Insiasari, speaking on the probe on Joy News, indicated the power supply has been installed, with some work being done on the roads.
Another thing that we need to do in Seria is a road network to the hospital. So it becomes easy for patients to be carried to the hospital and also come out from the hospital. That one is also being given. The contract has been given out, is being done. So Seria is practically completed.
Love FM's visit to the hospital using the Prabon Sewa route indicates the road is in a poor shape, dusty and bumpy. Motorists have to navigate their way through the gaping potholes with tact. The widening potholes pose danger to road users.
For about 4 years now, the road has remained poor. They usually come to grade the road and leave it. The road to the hospital is worse.
They say a quarter way for your friends say bears and a woman, I have my bears and bo. Bears nabo office, I'm an overload and a bay was so saying a surprise no woman who cry. I am.
It has been over 4 years since drains and bridges were constructed on the stretch, but residents have had their hopes of a tarred road dashed for years. A bridge well constructed in the middle of the road is not utilized fully as one end of the construction is left uncompleted. A gaping hole was opened for the construction of this bridge, but after the work was done, the contractor refused to cover the hole that is left here. Now, even though the bridge is done, only a portion of the bridge can be used by drivers here.
Ebi lighting it, drone do a problem park is pan, ebi lighting it. Inti bi honman won say ebi an we neighbor no.
2 weeks ago, an accident nearly happened at the spot. The drivers didn't notice each other. If the bridge was fully done, this wouldn't happen.
Sana a friend said, probably cabin sober. Taquano so or who to who ya high and a friend say. Even Baba couldn't cry tree. No, the son said, Okoni say into tree. Aquano natures own I mistake.
A drive to the Sewa Hospital is not a pleasant one. A decision to use the Feyasi route to exit the area was no different. Though the route is shorter, there is no sign of road construction. George Ejay, who is station master at the local taxi rank, says contractors packed out of the site months ago.
The contractor milled the entire stretch, so we're waiting for the construction of the road itself. The drains were all done. Later, we noticed the contractor had taken away all equipment from site.
It remains unclear when Sewa Government Hospital will be opened to the public to help improve access to healthcare in the Ashanti region. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
After several months of setbacks, the Suame Municipal Assembly has started evicting artisans and traders along the enclave of the Suame Interchange construction project. Affected artisans say they are ready to comply with directives to evacuate, but want government to fulfill its promise of executing the project to avert an industrial action. Nana Boachi Adam has more.
The eviction of traders and artisans at the Suame magazine took off on Monday, July 3rd, to pave way for the construction of the Suame Interchange project. Several shops have been removed as part of the exercise. Some affected artisans want government to live up to its promise of completing the project. If government refuses to fix the road, NPP shouldn't use the stretch again for any campaign. We are moving for him to complete this as soon as possible. They only gave us a week. They did say Matanian Kwanta, but nothing happened. If government is willing to fix the road, it's fine. But if he doesn't fix the road, we would have a problem. We don't trust the government.
Because so in the GDA party, like Obiani Gidio about whom say, or by Juma Gidi. I tell you, so my kind of my yes, I'm the one say a car, no my janisa, because we're quite to treat. They say, any Pama, Obian Toshe.
If they don't complete the road, we will be bothered. We have nothing doing because our businesses have been affected.
Chairman of the Suame Magazine Artisans Association, Isaac Adomako, however, expects some compensation from the government. We can't make assumptions for government. We have no problem if he gives us nothing, but that shouldn't happen. Mr. Adomako says the failure of the government to keep to the timelines in the project execution will be protested.
The best demonstration can see power. I want to be all for the long cruises. The long cruises, or the Bechamoha.
We don't want to see the project abandoned. If they do, we'll protest massively here. We won't allow him to drive here, and we won't vote for his party as well. We want development, so they should stick to their promise.
There's no development. To honor, no one yet the new will be capable.
For JoyNews, Nana Boachi Yadom, Komase.
If you just joined us, it's JoyNews Today on Joy News. Let's take a break. We'll bring you business after.
Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. This year's EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair will include astute lawyers with experience in land issues. They will provide legal assistance on all aspects of housing with a concentration on litigation. It is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the interesting packages put together, especially for patrons of this year's event on the topic home ownership, affordability, comfort, or luxury. Join the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair team this weekend at the Achimota Mall for the clinic, which kicks off a series of smaller activities running up to the major exhibition later in August. Max Fuga is General Manager.
we instituted the clinics to afford people a conducive environment to transact business. But the clinics is a small one. Normally we have about 10, 15 exhibitors, and we provide that congenial and that conducive environment for business transactions. You have needs. You want to talk to your clients, you want to talk to prospective service providers one-on-one. Now at the main fair, it's always crowded. But at these clinics, you have that opportunity to engage the supplier on with all your questions, with your challenges, and get them answered in real time. So that's the objective of the clinic. And so this year, we are showcasing both current and future trends in housing. So architecture, building, materials, landscaping, home appliances, everything lighting, everything housing. We know land acquisition is a big issue in this country. Okay. I've had to be reporting at the police headquarters once a while because of land issues. Just buy a small piece of land to put up a building to lay your head. Today is police headquarters here, tomorrow is CID headquarters, today is property office, tomorrow is anti-armed robbery office, all because of land issues. So one of the things that we have decided to do this year is to put together a team of seasoned lawyers who have specialities or who have specialized in land cases, okay, to be there to help people with all those issues, to give them guidance, to give them direction. So the biggest thing we are introducing this year is to put the experts together to provide solution to people with needs.
In other news, Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, is urging government to review the policy regulating the sale of spectrum for telecom service providers. According to him, the current structure is not competitive and attractive enough for investors. Dr. Ashigbe was speaking at the launch of Console Connect, an internet services platform for Africa. Here's more in this report.
WAPS Digital, a pan-African digital solutions provider, has announced its strategic collaboration with Console Connect, a leading global network service provider, to revolutionize Africa's digital infrastructure landscape and drive the continent's digital transformation. This is to provide high-performance internet connectivity to customers and provide the digital solutions needed for business growth. During a panel discussion as part of the launch, Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, called for a drastic change in policy for the acquisition of spectrums for network service providers.
How are you going to enable that happening? It's to prevent starting to take the money upfront. Our spectrum sale policy, for example, has to completely change. You cannot have the situation where you sell a 2x10, for 4G at 67 million. And then you take your comparator in, say, Tanzania, that has a larger market than you, the output is about the same as you, and it's selling the same thing for 10 million. So what happens then is that when they spend 60-something million to do it, how much money then is left for them to invest to ensure that everybody gets it? So the way we price, but we also need, and this is where industry also needs to come to the table, we need to realize the fact that the African governments require money as well.
Director General of the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, Richard Ochirifosu, disclosed that government is making effort to lessen the burden on entrepreneurs in the digital economy.
The government is committed to co-creating a conducive environment for innovation and facilitating access to long-term financing required by local entrepreneurs, along with strategic partnerships and expansion of government research and development initiatives.
Speaking at the same event, South African High Commissioner to Ghana, Grace Mason, was optimistic that the collaboration will enhance the move towards 5G services in Ghana and other parts of the continent.
Looking forward to the introduction of a 5G spectrum in order to enhance connectivity for economic benefits. This will also complement.
Now, as part of his commitment to empower SMEs by providing them with the necessary tools, resources, and support to thrive in a competitive business landscape, telecommunications giant MTN has launched its annual Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Month. Here's more.
Over 90% of business enterprises in the country are SMEs. They not only form around 80% of the total employment in Ghana, but also account for some 60% of the country's GDP. Due to the significant role of SMEs to Ghana's economy, MTN Ghana says it is poised to create a good business environment for the sector to meet global standards. Here is Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Selom Adedivo.
We're trying to do all of this because we also anticipate that in a year or two, we should see regional markets start to open up, where by virtue of the AFCFTA, would have a much broader competitive basis, where our services and solutions won't be restricted to this market. And that certainly spells and smells big opportunities, but it also signifies major threats if we're not advanced and sophisticated enough, where others can come into this market and serve the same customers that we seek to serve today. So of course, it's important for all of us, first of all, to be ready and to be the leaders in this space. So we not only enable the ecosystem that we are in today, but also ensure that we're competitive in tapping the opportunities that would open up.
On his part, Chief Enterprise Officer for MTN Ghana, Daniel Asari, detailed activities lined up for this year's program.
The program is a month-long event to show or demonstrate our partnership to SMEs. We're doing market activations where we go door to door, talk to SMEs, showcase our products to them, and let them subscribe to the service that will help them grow. Beyond that, we also make room for SMEs who also want to advertise their products, starting with MTN employees. So every day in the month, we'll give you opportunity to come to either the head office or a selected branch to showcase your products to MTN customers. And then the icing on the cake will be the SME fair, where we'll bring SMEs together in Accra at the Rollins Park and then Kumasi Mall for them to showcase their products, whilst we also let them know the services or solutions we have for SMEs.
Some beneficiaries shared how MTN Business Solutions has impacted their business.
All right, and that's it for business. More on the marketplace at the top of the hour. Up next, sports.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews. In our President Akufo-Addo on Tuesday officially commissioned the redeveloped Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, a significant historic monument in Ghana's capital, Accra. The project, which cost approximately $3.5 million, has breathed new life into the park, paying tribute to the country's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and serving as a final resting place for him and his wife, Fatia Nkrumah. There's more in the following report.
The redevelopment of the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and Memorial Park was inaugurated by President Nana Akufo-Addo yesterday. The redevelopment that cost $3.5 million is a total transformation as compared to what was there before. There is a library, a water fountain, a new statue of Kwame Nkrumah, just to mention a few. The CEO of Ghana Tourism Development Company, in the person of Kojo said a project management manual has been developed for the maintenance of the mausoleum.
Thank you, my brother. As you have said, a lot of money has gone into the redevelopment of this park. If you look at the infrastructure that existed, which had run down 30 years, no maintenance, nothing had been done, and it ran down completely. We have added today the new museum, as we have seen. We have added the new receptive facility. We have added the water fountain that was dead with colors at night that will make it very beautiful for people to come in. We have added indeed the presidential library, the restaurant, the art shops and everything else. It cannot be left to rot. So as part of the process of design, we developed a project management manual. as part of the project design, so that becomes the Bible, as it were, for the management of the facility, which includes the commercial management and financial management or financial success or health of the facility itself.
Present at the inaugural ceremony yesterday was the MP of Koliklote, Zenato Rollins, who in an interview said it is very encouraging to see President Akufo-Addo adding up to the memory of Kwame Nkrumah.
I think this is befitting. When you talk about governance, there's continuity, and I think it's befitting that this was actually built by the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, yes, my father, and in honor of the first president of our republic. And it was actually quite run down, and it's really, really encouraging to see that the current president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has actually added to it. That is what we expect when it comes to governance in this country. There should be continuity. If a project has started and it's meant to be continued, it should be continued. But I think importantly at this point, what we need to do is ensure that the culture of maintenance comes to find its place here. Because we can build all the beautiful edifices that we want to in honor of all the people who have, fought for our independence and everything else. But if we can't inculcate a culture of maintenance, then we are looking at wasting a lot of money after we have established and built things. So I think from this point on, one of the most important things to do is to ensure that it's maintained properly.
Yofi Grant, CEO of Ghana Investment Promotions Council, who was present at the inaugural ceremony, believes that the mausoleum resonates importantly with our history and also connects us to our future.
Tourism has accelerated to be one of the fastest growing sectors of our economy. I mean, Ghana is endowed with significant tourism assets, ecotourism, cultural tourism, political tourism, and historical tourism. Apart from that, the fact that we are a tropical rainforest country with quite a number of very interesting parks. There are 16 natural parks in this country, which themselves are very attractive to, because they harbor very unique flora and fauna. But this particular development here resonates quite importantly to our history and connects to our future, because as you know, Ghana, I keep saying Ghana is in the center of the world, but much more so, not just the black star of Africa, but the shining star of Africa.
In an interview with Samia Nkrumah, daughter of the late Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, she said the idea of the library was from the family.
The family play any part in this being built, especially the library being furnished?
They consulted us, so the library was our idea, because it's something we've been working at, trying to realize for some years now, and we have not ended our discussions. We will have an input, because a leader, Pan-African leader of the stature and influence of Kwame Nkrumah must have a presidential library. So this is just a start. It doesn't matter if it looks small or it's not, what we would want it to be really, but it's a start, and every small step is in the right direction. I'm very happy and satisfied that we have reached this point.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on JoyNews Today. My name is Becky. The news continues with Aisha.
And time for sports. Former Black Stars head coach James Kwesi Appiah and Prosper Nate Ogum are the two geffers on the radar of Asante Kotoko as they remain keen to appointing a new head coach. Bismarck Owusu Bempa spoke with them.
The owners of the club, headed by the Asante, of course, are looking to put together a new administration to kick off preparations for next season. The club is aware, and when I say the club, I mean the owners are aware that other competitors to Kotoko are making inroads when it comes to preparation for next season. Others are trying their hands on few transfer market players. Others are preparing, making sure where they have their preseason and all those things. So Kotoko will also need to, as a matter of urgency, get onto track for next season. So if it's even not a new board that is coming in, at least a technical team that will make sure the team prepares for next season in terms of the transfer market and preseason arrangements is what the owners are trying to put together as soon as possible. And it's not just Akwesi Appiah who is meeting the Asante. I can tell you for a fact that former coach of Kotoko, Prosper Ogum, Doctor, will also meet Asante in the coming days, and he is also one of the favorites to land the job as the next commander Asante Kotoko. So that is what we are picking when it comes to the new direction that the owners will want to take the club.
But what is quite surprising a lot of people is that many would think that Menchia will be focusing on possibly getting a new board and management and allow management to take decisions relative to who becomes the next coach of the team. So it's quite surprising why Menchia appear interested in the technical team even before the administrative aspect of the team. Do you understand why this move is being carried out?
They believe they are the administrators of the team. They are the owners. The club belongs to them. If you come in as a board or CEO, the decisions you take as to who becomes the coach of the club and who becomes who, you still have to have the approval of them. So it's like they taking the decisions themselves. It's like the Qatar investment in Paris Saint-Germain. The Emir of Qatar take decisions and approve decisions on who becomes the coach and the sporting director and all those things. So once there's no board, they think they have every right to make the decisions. And as I've said, we don't really have time. Other clubs are making inroads concerning transfers and preparing for preseason, and Kotoko must do same. That is why they're taking charge of their own destiny and making sure they put in these things that are needed as soon as possible until probably they look at the bigger picture of who is coming in and who will be the board members and form a new administration.
But from what you're picking between Prosper Nata Ogum and James Kwesi Appiah, who is on the screen now, who do you think Menchia is possibly leaning towards?
It's very, very difficult to predict Menchia. Very, very difficult. What I know is that today the conversation with Kwesi Appiah was very, very successful. And just like Kwesi Appiah would look out for, it will be the same with Prosper Ogum.
And that's how we wrap up sports this afternoon. That's how we wrap up the bulletin too on JoyNews Today. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.
In 2013,